right?
Shedeur Sanders, according to Jeremy Fowler, ESPN, made an impression. I don't know how great he's going to be. I do think he's a franchise quarterback. We can argue about that. But his go-to is his accuracy. And in camp, he was insanely accurate. People can say, well, he was playing against backups. Well, so are half the quarterbacks in the NFL during camp. They didn't complete 77%. Every backup quarterback in the NFL is playing against backups in camp. Why did everybody else complete 60%? He completed 77%.
He completed 77% because he is, and this is a true statement, the greatest quarterback to ever not play in the NFL. Okay, listen. There still seems to be a lot of confusion about how we talk about someone like Shedeur. And quite frankly, like, in the beginning of the Shedeur mayhem, before he was even drafted, I did my share of videos, but I really pulled back. I didn't go all in on Shedeur like a lot of outlets and shows did, because it seemed so forced and exaggerated and magnified. And then after he got drafted, we talked about it. And then I even then asked everyone, do you want me to keep covering Shedeur? What do you think I should do? Because again, everything just felt so repetitive, so forced, so magnified. And I took, the comments seriously. So people were like, no, don't cover it. Other people were like, no, cover it. It's a main story in the NFL, go do it. And that's why I still kind of skip a lot of Shedeur stories. I want views. I want subscribers. I want people to like what I do here, obviously, right? Like, every channel needs that. Every show needs that. Every person who's speaking out loud needs that. But I never want to fall into this approach where I'm just making something day in and day out just because it's like, it's going to get clicks, going to get views, going to get views, going to get views. And, because I could, like, every day that something else gets announced, oh, he had a good day at minicamp, and I could, like, make a whole video about that. And I could do it for the herd, and do it for First Things First, and do it for NFL Live. Like, I could be making 3, 4, 5, 6 Shedeur Sanders videos a day, quite frankly. And I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. But then I see a report like this, and a segment like this, and it's like, Shedeur Sanders made an impression. And it's like, this is actually the perfect jumping off point. He made an impression. Okay. And the argument was never about Shedeur Sanders being trash. It was never about Shedeur Sanders being this awful quarterback, being this disaster of a quarterback. We always knew that there was some juice to him, that he could play. But in the NFL, things become very binary. Okay? Shedeur Sanders was evaluated as someone who was a little bit problematic. Not because of any conspiracy. I'm not even going to respond to any of this because I've already gone back and forth. The NFL was not trying to send a message. The owners weren't colluding. Like, none of that. There's so much money at stake. Everybody is just trying to win. But the NFL reached a conclusion, and they weren't relying on false reports. NFL teams do their own due diligence. They do their own due diligence. They're not just being like, oh, well, the New York Giants said that he had a bad attitude. So, like, okay, I guess he had a bad attitude, and now we're not going to do our own due diligence. Like, that's not how this works. But the NFL, for the most part, reached the conclusion, we don't think he's a starting quarterback. And because of his fame, because of his popularity, because of the intensity around him, it is well known in the NFL that they don't want that in their locker room as backup quarterbacks. That you do not want a celebrity backup quarterback. This has happened with many quarterbacks in the past. The two most recent, Cam Newton and what's the other one that just completely summarized? Tebow. Okay? And they realize that it's exhausting. Well, people have to understand that running a team, running a franchise, having the locker room, it is such a delicate balance. It is such a house of cards. Let's take the Kansas City Chiefs as an example, and it's not going in the direction that maybe some of you might think it is because I bring up the Chiefs and Mahomes and all that whatnot. Think about how unbelievably amazing the Chiefs have been for the last, 6, 7 years, whatever it is, since 2018. Unbelievably amazing. And you got Andy Reid. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Travis Kelce. You got Spags, like this core that no matter what, you have a chance. And you're in the Super Bowl in 2023. And you got Rashee Rice yelling at Patrick Mahomes on the sideline of the Super Bowl. You got Travis Kelce not able to control himself where he can't even stop his momentum and slams into Andy Reid. I mean, think about it. This is in the Super Bowl when you need to be like all together. And this is, you know, especially Andy and Travis and Mahomes. Like this has been a core that's been together from the jump. And yet it's still this delicate balance. And if they ended up losing that Super Bowl, I mean, who knows? Who knows? But they won, so you were able to kind of sweep it under the rug a little bit. And understandably so. I don't blame it. Andy Reid's not going to have to win a Super Bowl. Be like, Travis Kelce has to control himself more. You get to just frame it as like, it's all competitive spirit. We all love each other. And Travis is like, hey, man, this guy's like a father to me. It's all good. And that's true, too, even in a loss. Because we're always seeing people in very snapshot moments. But it's so fragile. Locker rooms are so fragile. So having to deal with any of this extra chaos is like, it's too difficult. It's too much. So the argument was never that Shedeur Sanders was just this disastrous, awful quarterback. The conversation was really like, it's so hard to figure out the truth and the reality of the situation in any given moment. Because for whatever reason, people either absolutely, positively love and worship this guy and think he is literally the next greatest quarterback of all time, or people want to say he's trash, he's awful, he can't do anything. And it's really funny to me because I try to bring some nuance and people will come at me and be like, oh yeah, Shedeur Sanders. And it's like, I've never said that Shedeur Sanders is fundamentally a bad quarterback. I never said any of that. Find the take where I said he's just bad. Not at all. So when you said that he made an impression, it's like, well, yeah. He's going to make some sort of impression. What does that impression mean? Do I think that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a star quarterback in the NFL? I do not think so. That is what my gut tells me. And like I've said now repeatedly, I love to be wrong when I do not believe someone will be good, great, or have success. I'm not rooting for anyone to fail. That is the take that I am more than happy to be wrong about. I don't think Justin Fields is going to have a lot of success with the New York Jets. I would absolutely, positively love to be wrong. I would love to have Justin Fields ball out and be a top quarterback in the NFL, have the Jets have like a Sam Darnold, Minnesota Vikings reemergence. That would be awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I'd be watching every single game. And I would be praising him. I'd be taking notes and being like, did you see what Justin Fields did? Oh my goodness, that throw. Did you see that 35-yard touchdown run he had? And I'd be praising it every step of the way. I never have any problem being wrong. Ever, ever, ever. Especially when it's, in the negative, so to speak. But like, again, this is my problem. Even a take like this, Shedeur made an impression. Well, yeah, he's a quarterback at camp. If he didn't make an impression, then there's something fundamentally wrong here. Then there's some serious issues here. Any quarterback that drafted who has any inch of skill, any ounce of skill, should make some sort of impression. But again, everything becomes so extreme with Shedeur Sanders. Everything. I remember when he highlighted a clip of Flacco being like, he made me smile. And, isn't that what it's all about? And it's like, no, it's not. That's not what it's all about. Like, what are we talking about here? And people were using that clip as a way to be like, look how highly Joe Flacco thinks of him. It's like, oh my goodness. And then you should see another clip on the flip side of Shedeur Sanders where him and Flacco are talking about like dancing or something. And they're like, see, this shows Shedeur Sanders' immaturity. And it's like, well, that's not true either. You're always spitting nonsense when you're in lines, doing drills on the sidelines and whatnot. You're always cracking jokes. You're always dancing, being goofy, being silly. It's all different degrees. And sometimes there's a time to definitely work. And sometimes there's a time to be lighthearted and be goofy. And when we see a little random moment, we have no idea. That could have been the first 5 minutes of a practice, or that could be the first 4 and the final 5 minutes of a practice. Like, we have no idea. And sometimes it's allowed. Sometimes that's just the vibe of the practice. It's a little bit lighthearted, a little bit silly, a little bit more gentler. And other times you do that and the coach is like, stop. You know, like they're clapping. They're like, enough. I've had to run a lot of laps for being too silly in you know, lines, doing drills and whatnot. And other times it's what the team needs. It's what the energy is needed. So it's you know, you can never just take a random snapshot of that and be like, oh, see. But like, I did see the one thing with Travis Hunter when he was trying to dance, and one of the other, I don't know if it was a defensive player or an offensive player, I don't remember it. But they were in line, and you know, he wasn't paying attention. He had his like back turned, and he was like kind of dancing, and one of the other players like kind of like pushed him to kind of like straighten him out, to be like, bro, like stop, focus, like what are you doing? And in that moment, it was too much. You know, it was kind of like, dude, what are you doing? And you could be silly and goofy and make and crack some jokes, but like, again, it's got to be within reason here now. Like, you can't take it too far to the extreme. And listen, when you're a really great player, if you're really special, that might be your way of how you get ready. That might be how you stay confident, how you don't let the nerves get the best of you, is by being a little goofy, is by being a little bit silly. And it may not work for everyone else, and it may even look like you're not paying attention or you're not taking it seriously, but it's actually just your coping mechanism. And it's how you kind of downplay the intensity of the moment. That's absolutely possible as well. And I do both in different stages of my life. In some stage of my life, it is just a hyper focus, all intensity. Do not talk to me. Do not care. That's how I was when the sport that I played the most competitively was baseball. And when I pitched, I played multiple positions. And when I pitched, I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't like talk to anyone. I was focused. I would come in between innings, and I wouldn't, you know, when I was pitching, I wouldn't bat DH, and I'd just be off to the side. And in fact, I didn't want to bat, because in some leagues you have the opportunity to bat, and I'd be like, I don't want to bat. I only want to focus on pitching. Everyone else leave me alone. And I would just be hyper focused. And I'd walk off after the innings, and I would just sit on the bench and just chill. When I was in the field, oh my goodness. I mean, like, I was talking about everything under the sun, cracking jokes, talking nonstop. Like, everything was just so much more loose and free, because that's what I needed in the outfield. I didn't need that when I was pitching. I needed that in the outfield. It was all different. All different. Playing basketball, I mean, like, I was relentless. Just hyper aggressive, like a Draymond Green type level player, honestly. Better scorer. And on the court, it was a war out there. Absolutely, positively a war. On the sideline, I needed like a break from that mentality. I mean, you're just talking about everything under the sun. I was not focused in those moments, and no one could ever say that I wasn't giving it all on the court. I wasn't missing anything, but I still got to crack jokes. I still got to be me too. Like, so all this stuff is a balance. So we keep taking little snippets, no matter what is happening right now, and we are just cranking it up to just the highest levels. And I find it a little exhausting. Like, Colin's doing a where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong here, for Shedeur made an impression. I make impressions when I walk in my backyard, okay? You can see my footsteps in the mud. All right? Hit me up. Eagles, 49ers, you guys need a quarterback? I mean, like, I'll be QB too, whatever. I got a great arm. Give me the playbook. Let's get after it. Let's do it. Chiefs, Texans, I don't know, any of these teams. Hit me up. I don't need to be a starter. I'm not good enough to be a starter. I'll earn my keep. It's just, I don't know. That is the thing with Shedeur now. It's like, because he's so popular, people are always looking for reasons to make content around him, to have takes around him. And it's like, in one way, that is the summer. That is the off season. And I understand that, respect that, and appreciate that. Because if we don't make stories out of nothing, well, then there's really fundamentally nothing to talk about. And I don't want that either. I want to be able to talk ball 365. I love it. You love it. That's why you're watching some random dude on YouTube. But it's like, everything still needs to be within reason. Everything still needs to be balanced. And there's maybe other better conversations to be had. I'm not going to pretend like I 100% know them, because I don't have a team of producers who are helping in that regard. But like, I feel like we just got to pull back. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Shedeur Sanders and the fact that he made an impression? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here. Absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.